Well, whether you are kicking and screaming and fighting your avoidant partner, no, we love a good commitment issue. It makes for a good story, but for other stories, not for ourselves.
Thanks for your concern.
Welcome back to Thanks for Your Concern. You are here with Berenice.
And I'm Ella. Hey, how's it going?
It's going good.
Hey, Berenice.
Good.
How's it going? Good?
It's going good. There was a blizzard this past weekend.
Oh, yeah, I heard.
It was intense. It's really pretty when it comes down, and then it's like the most pure time I think that you can see New Yorkers. This time they cancel schools, so we like walked through the park, and there were just like a bunch of snowman everywhere, like literally everywhere you turn, like snowman. So I thought that was really cute.
Oh, I love that.
I just have to sew a lot because like Beyond Wonderland is coming up, and I need to get.
People are asking for the drops.
I know, and I'm like, oh my god, please don't hold me accountable, because I mean, obviously there's stuff that I'm working on, but it's unreliable when you like drop an article of clothing random size, right? Like it just, you don't know if people are gonna like that. So obviously I'm gonna take opportunities that are solid because I have to pay my bills.
Right.
So in that way, like I sometimes don't have as much as I would like to make drops for, but that's just because I just don't have enough time. I always get like, you should do this and I should do this, and I was like, do you want to get me an assistant or like a second me, and then we can make all of these fun things? But there's only just so much you can do with the time you have. But it's going well. Yeah, I'm getting requests for EDZ, and the thing is, like, I don't love making customs just because they take a lot of like time and creativity. I'm trying to outsource more things. Like if people want something that's already made, you know what I mean, or something with like a corset base, I don't have to make the corset myself. I used to do everything like from start to finish, but now I'm just starting to realize like it just does not make sense to do that. Like a lot of people outsource stuff. So now that I have a little bit more, I don't know, like assurance of myself that I know how to make all these things, and I want to keep my prices like kind of reasonable, be like, okay, I can source this and this and this, and I tell people like I'm not making structure, which a lot of people don't, you know what I mean? They just want the look.
Yeah.
So that way it's a little easier when people reach out to me with an outfit that I'm like, I could see how you could DIY that, like from things that are already on the internet. And then I will also include just like a little bit of an up, because sometimes I don't want to do it, and the way I say it is like it's gonna be this much, because I will up the price if it's something I don't want to do. That's just will $100 more make me do it? Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that's art, babes.
Yeah, and then they say yes, and I'm like, damn, I was hoping you'd say no, but we're gonna make it.
All artists do that, right? I think like tattoo artists do that. Like my boyfriend has this like sick tattoo that literally he got undercharged for because the dude was like, can I just like kind of do what I want? He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And he's like, all right, sick. You know,
that's true.
Artists want to do what they want to do. So always, that's a big tattoo thing, is like, don't go to an artist that doesn't want to do the thing. That's my worst tattoo, is this guy that said he didn't want to do it and then overcharged me for it. I should have just taken it for his word and just left, you know? But I was like, I want a tattoo today.
I get it. Like, I'm going to do a good job, and I'm gonna, give you what you want, but it might just come at a higher price.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen it, but everyone is buzzing about America's Next Top Model documentary.
Yes.
And you know what it reminded me of? I was like, we did a whole expose about how this affected us. Do you want to guess what year and which episode that was?
No.
It was episode 41 in 2021.
Oh, that's late in the game.
That's early. 2021. We're at like 295 or something.
Oh.
So we did it like 250 episodes ago. We talked about this, and I was like, we were talking about how like there should be a class action lawsuit about America's Next Top Model because they did us so dirty. So I just think it's so funny that people are like buzzing about it now.
Yeah, any document, it's really interesting to watch these like documentaries of things that happened in the past and have people like run away from any sort of accountability. You know what I mean? Like, this was horrible for me, but I did stay on it for 20 seasons.
I also, my thing is like, people are like, oh, the modeling industry was so bad, so this wasn't as bad. And I was like, That just doesn't seem like a good excuse for anything, is that, like, we especially because if you're like, you know it's bad, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know something's bad. It's like, "Dude, I'm an awesome girlfriend. Do you know how many terrible, like, I'm only kind of abusive, you know? There's so many abusive girlfriends out there." It's like, "No, bro, like, you shouldn't wanna do that. That's not how you should wanna run."
Yeah, and I think the problem was is that she set out to kind of show what the fashion industry is like. So she already had that mentality of like this is things that you go through in the fashion industry
Right.
rather than be like I want to be the maker of change. Like that was not the promise of the show. The show was actually to stay in the time that they were in. It wasn't to bring on a new era, which I mean, I think now looking back, she was like, "Oh yeah, I did bring a new era, but it wasn't like a great era. It was like it moved 1 foot forward, 5 steps back."
Yeah, and I feel really bad for the participants because, they had it worse than the viewers, right? And the people that had to work there and didn't have a great time. But I just like distinctly remember I must have been like, I want to say I was like 12 years old and I'm watching them talk to a contestant and they're like, you know what? You're just like, you're too fat to be standard sizes, but you're not plus size enough to be plus size. And I just remember and her body was like, I'm telling you, like, legitimately, she was like a size 6, right? Where it was like, at the time, models were like 42000. And I just remember looking at her and being like, "That is the most normal body ever." And they're like saying she can't be a model because she's not skinny enough. I'm like, "That's crazy."
That's so pretty tiny.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. It's like,
A
and
size
that's why, like,
six is really small. Like
I know.
that's under average. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
that's what I mean. It's like they were literally like telling her, like, "Hey, like, you're just kind of in the middle. Like, you're not small enough to be a model, but you're not big enough to be a plus size model." And I just literally just remember being like, "Oh my god, like, if she's not small enough to be a model, like, how small do you have to be? You should be
small,
tiny,
small, very
small."
small. Yeah, and one of the things is like a wide angle lens on a camera. I think that was the first time I ever became like really self conscious of my body was being shot with a wide like lens for like movies. And I was like, am I huge? And I swear to God, it's not that you're like that. It's just like a different way of shooting where you just look wider.
I was like, I swear if I just get my angles right, like I can transform. Because it is a lot about lighting. And like I was really enamored with the photography light part of that show. And that's why I really liked it, is because I was like, wow, like look how you can just like look so different and like you can just like hit a perfect angle. Like
Yeah.
I thought liked the real mechanisms of it. But there's so much stuff on that show. Was the makeover day when they would, like, fucking botch someone's hair and then send them home the next week. I just was like, Berenice will tell you, anytime she goes to the hair salon and she says to cut it, they're, like, apprehensive because they will say, "Girls will cry, okay? Girls will cry because you cut 2 inches off their hair." When I got my first big chop, I, like, was in tears because there's just is a lot of, like, connection to how to your hair. It takes a long time to grow back, right? For some people. And so it's like to see them like shave off a woman's hair and then send her home the next day.
Figure it out, babes.
And like she's not a model yet because they're like, you're gonna get so much work in high fashion. It's like, you just sent me home, so I'm not even that good of a model, really.
And
Like,
I'm just bald.
and now I'm just bald.
Not by choice. This wasn't like an empowerment move for myself.
I know. I love when girls shave their heads. Like, I literally feel like that's the type of content I love. Doing the not shaving by choice, that's never fun.
Yeah, that is very true. I think it's hard not to like compare. I think that's where the tears come from. It's like, oh, I thought I looked better before. You know what I mean? Because you see it with a lot of people, like when they first shave their head, you can't help but compare to what it used to look like. But once you start, like when a lot of people, especially like on TikTok, shave their head, at first it looks different. And then you start seeing more content of them just without hair. And you're like, oh my God, like she looks great. But like, I feel like the immediate thought is like different. But if you were to be
Well,
introduced to somebody without hair already, it'd be like, oh, they're just like, that's the way they are. You wouldn't be comparing it to,
I think for me, and I don't know, I've never shaved my head, but my apprehension has been is that like, bro, that is a very long-term commitment because it is gonna take you or at least for me, because my hair grows honestly medium fast. I would say not fast, but like s- average. So for my hair to get like back to my shoulders again, it would take like 10 years. So it would just, I think it's like one of those things where if you immediately hate it, you're like, oh my God, I'm stuck with this for like fucking 12 years. And then also it's just you can't go back. Like you literally just shaved your head. Like, what is there to do next? There you can't put the head you can put on you start rocking wigs, but you cannot put hair back in the follicles.
Well, to the baddies that choose to shave their head, more power to you. We stand.
Go listen to episode 41. It's actually a little bit it's crazy. It's a little rough because I wasn't editing it to the caliber that I edit now. Well, I was still learning, but it's still a fun episode. So episode 41. All right. So this episode, we're talking about commitment issues, yes men, all the good things.
We've all experienced a chronic yes man, little to no follow through. And also people who see, like, an avoidant sees commitment and they like hate to see that coming. They're like just ready to run from the.
Which one are you? Pick your fight. I always say that I feel like there's a difference between a yes man and someone who goes with the flow. I feel like I'm the person who's more goes with the flow, as in if option is like A or B, and I don't have a preference, I'll let you know. Like I literally will be like, I'm down for either of those. But if I have a preference, I'm gonna let you know. And I feel like that's the difference.
Yes. I don't know if we fall under the yes man category. I'm a outspoken, go with the flow.
Hmm.
It means that if I actually really don't want to do something, I'm going to tell you I really don't want to do
Me
that.
too. And okay, let me tell you about this like yes men situation that I had with a friend. Okay, so friend's like, I'm down, I'm down, I'm down. Friend gets drunk and says, I can't believe you dragged me into this situation. And let me tell you, the situation is fucking Coachella. So like,
So,
let's not pretend like it's fucking.
right.
And it was nothing sketchy per se, but I just think they didn't understand like when you go to Coachella, okay? When you go to Coachella, but you can't just like you don't fly into LAX and you just are there. Like it is a journey,
Yeah.
okay? And so I just feel like they didn't understand the journey and then also how rough
Conditions.
it the conditions
Yeah.
are. You're dusty, showers are $10, and it is so hot you cannot sleep in past about 5 a.m., right? And they just kinda had a breakdown and then, like, kinda spewed all this stuff that they had said yes to, and I was like, "Bro, why didn't you say anything at, like, any point?" And they were like, "Well, I don't know, like, I just da 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 da," and I was like, "Homie, like, I'm sitting here thinking you're having a great time. You didn't ask any questions, so I think you're just going with the flow. And now here you are with a bunch of like concerns that you should have shared at the time because we could have talked through this. We could have been problem solving this whole time."
A lot of people don't know how to communicate. I think that's the problem with yes men. Like, being a yes man inherently can be good, but like if you're just doing things to like people please or because you don't know how to say no, that's a little bit of the, you're causing an issue for yourself. I think as I've gotten older, I've definitely gotten more comfortable at starting to say no or like bailing. Like if I know I'm in a bad situation and other people are committed to that, I'm like, I'm I'm gonna head. You know,
Dude,
like
God bless Uber. I
literally.
was because I didn't have Uber growing up, right? And so I got into some sticky situations because like this was before Uber and this was before Link Light Rail, okay? So like if you're in the South End past a certain time, the last bus was like I want to say like 12:15 depending on the bus. So if it's past 12:15 and you are 20 miles from your home, you have not a lot of options. So you're going to put yourself into some unsafe situations with the person who has a way back to your house in the North End, right? If I had Uber, because nowadays, if I'm in a situation where I just like, I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna go home. Ding, 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 ding. Uber, I'm home.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can definitely dip out from if you determine that that's not your journey.
And honestly, just no judgment, but I just feel like that's like, it's like if you're not having fun, what's the point, dude?
Yeah. And I also believe in like not dragging other people down with you. Like if I'm not
Yeah.
having fun, I'm not gonna be like, this fucking sucks. Can we go somewhere else? I'm like, are you committed to this plan? And they're like, yeah, I want to stay here. I'm like, then I think I'm gonna go because like I don't want to ick your yum, but like maybe this scene just isn't for me.
Dude, I feel like that's like people would have such a better time in life if they did shit like that. If they just are like, Hey, don't want to like yuck your yum. I think there's like comes like a lot of independence needed to make these type of decisions.
There is, and also to the extent of like, I always say, I don't want more problems. I want solutions. So if you're not having a good time with me, I've had friends like this that like they're not having a good time and they make it everybody's problem. Sometimes I have gotten to the point that they're like, I don't like it here," and I'm like, "Okay, well, I want to be here." You know what I mean? Like, if you're not coming to me, like either I'm gonna go or we do you think we could do this or are you committed to this plan? Like, if you're just coming to me with a rancid attitude that you just don't like it here and now we all have to like not like it here, you know what I mean? I've never been into that.
I have like this friend that's like always like, "Oh, let's go to the like the next bar, the next bar, the next bar." And I'm like, "Bro, there's no girls here you want to talk to. There's no girls at the next bar you're going to want to talk to or want to talk to you. The next bar there's going to be no girls you want to talk to. Make this place fun because the next place I'm telling you is not going to be more fun. Like this is the funnest spot on this street. I know this for a fact. I've been fucking partying here for years, okay? If you don't like this vibe, you're not gonna like the next vibe. So we're just gonna be hopping bars every fucking place. And like, people used to like acquiesce to his like next bar thing. And I just like I started putting my foot down because I just realized it wasn't like the actual place. It was more of like trying to like level up on the fun. But at some point you just have to make where you're at fun.
Or just like call it a night.
Just call it a night. Like if straight up, if we're not having a good time, like let's just call it. Like we don't need to be here till last call.
It's very true. So sometimes when I'm like committing to any plan, I always have to think about who I'm going with. Like, I'm not much of a yes man anymore. Because I had a lot of people be like, I want to go to a rave with you. I either don't know you or two, I don't think you would be fun at a rave. And I think that's like obviously like a solid thing to say no to. You know what I mean? Like I stopped wanting to take people to raves just because there's like substances there and things there that I don't know if you're gonna be comfortable with. And honestly, like if I'm gonna pay to be there, I don't want my whole night to be like, is this person comfortable? You know what I mean? Like maybe
Yeah.
like figure out if you already like it and then I'll go with you. But if you're like really really new, then like why get tickets to like an expensive show to introduce that? Like maybe we can go to like a free show, something low key, assess out
Yeah.
the vibe. But like you never listening to dubstep and wanting to go to like a dubstep show with me, that's a really like high level of commitment that I don't know if I like, you just don't know if people are gonna want to be there.
And I also think like on the other flip side of that is like with being a yes man, maybe give people the opportunity to say yes to the thing you want to do. I had like a family trip and my brother was like, "Oh, like I don't think anyone would want to go to a botanical garden with me." And I was like, "Bro, I'll do that. What do you mean? I'll
That's
do that all
cute.
fucking day. There's birds there." And he was like, "Oh, I didn't think anyone would want to do this." And literally everyone came. And it was like, "See, like you never know. You have to
That's
ask
true.
and you have to like speak up and say what you want to do." And we had like a great little walking day where we literally walked all of London and spent like $0. It was so fucking dope. And then we had pies and bangers and mash. It was like, it was a cute little London day. And my brother was like convinced people didn't want to do that with him. And every single day when he spoke up about what he wanted to do,
Oh,
everyone was down. It's like, see, people are like down to do what you want to do. You don't just have to say yes to what other people have to do. You might have the best idea.
that is true.
Now, on the flip side, we have commitment issues.
Yeah,
One of my biggest pet peeves is when people say that thing like, "Oh, we should do something together," and then they have no intention of doing that. Like, why even say that? Like, we could just say hello to each other. You don't need to make fake plans with me.
I don't know if sometimes that's a commitment issue rather than just like no intention in following through in general. Like people sometimes talk to talk. If you ask me to do something and you hit me up about it, I'm gonna follow through. Okay, I will do it. If I say it, I'll do it. But I have had situations where even to myself where someone tells me they want to do something and then I don't see any effort to actually do that. They like never reach out. They never actually invite me to do that thing and I'm like, I don't think there was really that much intention to follow it. Like an empty invitation is not an invitation. That doesn't really have intention. That's
You
just
know?
they're just trying to say something nice to be nice. And sometimes I've had that with friends where it's really interesting to know that you care about a friend and that like you make plans and you want to follow through and then they have like a certain perception of maybe someone they want to be friends with or something that you low-key don't think they're such a good person in general. And then they're like, no, 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 but they've tried to make plans with me, and I'm like, what does that look like? And they're like, no, no, they told me we could hang out. And I'm like, okay, so have they actually texted you to hang out? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, maybe it's not like a personal thing. They just haven't made that necessarily like a priority. So I don't think you should make that a priority. You gotta meet people where their energy is at. And I think that's what's really interesting about like people with commitment issues, because they show that in the beginning. I think a lot of the almost relationships that I got into, because they will never, they might get into a relationship with you, but it might not stick around for very long. They will just like hint at things that will not happen. Like for me, a big one is like trips. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
went to a lot of festivals, and I was always like, yeah, just come. And they just like would not commit to coming on this trip. So it's like, mainly when there's no big reason not to. Like they have a lot of savings, and they avoid that they want to go to this thing, but they just like can't make up their mind whether they like really want to commit to like this 3 day trip.
It's always interesting because, like, I feel like that's a one thing, like, when you're in a committed relationship where you're like, oh God, we really are committed because you start planning trips like 1 year out, just because of like money or just like timing or whatever. You're like, damn, I am committed. But I will say, like, the biggest time I think I was like the most hurt, and this could sound so stupid, but this person made art, right? And this guy was seeing made art, and he was like, I'm gonna make you a piece. And I was like, don't fucking say that if that's a fake fucking promise. I was like, I'm telling you right now, I'm letting you take that back. Like, do not fucking say that shit to me if you don't mean it. He's like, no, 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 no. Of course I mean it. What the fuck are you talking about? Of course I'll make you a piece of art. Da, 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 da. Do I have a piece of art?
No.
Nuh-uh. And it was the same person that was like, yeah, I'll take you to this place. Like, I'd love to take you to my home country. Never happened. And I feel like those people like the idea. They like
Oh
the
yeah.
idea. They're not bad people, but it's just then they think about what that means, it scares them.
Yeah, they don't know if they really want to get it. I think it's the part of vulnerability. Like once you start sharing things with somebody and you become comfortable with somebody, you become kind of like dependent on them in a way of comfort, in a way of like happiness. Like they are part of who you are. And I truly believe like the commitment aspect of somebody being avoidant is like being vulnerable and depending on other people because they seek to be so independent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a bit tricky, but I will say like no one self sabotages better than someone that's afraid of commitment. Like,
It's almost sad. And, like, I feel like it is really sad though, because it's like people rob themselves of like connection in order to stay protected or what they think is protected. But it's like, there's nothing on the line to lose. But then, like, the joy of life is having something to lose, is being vulnerable. And I think sometimes people with the commitment issues, I just feel like it just always was interesting to me when somebody would be like, my sixth grade girlfriend would cheat on me. And I'm like, so you're going to avoid commitment for the rest of your life because a 12-year-old girl made a bad decision? Like, it just kind of made me sad for them.
I think avoiding like people that are afraid of commitment. To me, like when I first meet you, I'm gonna read you. No, it just happens. But I sometimes meet people and I'm like, this person needs love. Like they seem lonely, and not in a, like I feel bad for you, but like I can just recognize that in people, and then they turn out to have like commitment issues, to be very avoidant, to like choose to do things by themselves a lot. And it sucks because essentially you're like perpetrating your own loneliness. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like you are continuing that pattern by not like changing some things up. I think it can be, as someone with that leans to have some avoidant tendencies in my relationships, there's been so many times that I'm like, I need to bail. Like this just isn't it. And then I give it like a few more days, and like I realize like actually but it's like self-soothing things, that you just like need to follow through. But if you start feeding into your own head and start making choices that push people away, that's just like you continuing your pattern.
I used to think I had like anxious attachment because I think I did, but like I can see a lot of avoidance in me once things get real.
Yeah.
Initially, I'm like very lover girl, want to be attached, but then once it's like actually real, I freak out. Like I kind of feel like I freak out with closeness. And it makes me sad because it's kind of like a sick cycle because it's like of self-sabotaging, right? It's like, okay, let me push like I don't like this feeling of closeness. Let me push someone away. And then either they I don't want to say give in or like either they don't do it and they don't like fuck off or whatever. And then you're like, oh, like this person's like fucking not listening to me. Or they do fuck off and then you're like sad because you're like, see, everyone leaves me. I knew it. I knew everyone leaves me. This is why I shouldn't get close in the first place.
Yeah, I remember I used to be a chronic like, hey, we need to break up because I'm just like not comfortable, and I just don't think I'm gonna be comfortable. You know,
Yeah.
I left to run, and like when I was younger, I think it was a little bit crazier in my relationship just because it was so where the fuck my head's at. And I tried to do that one time in my current relation, and I just remember he was like, "Well, we can talk about that." And he was like, "Let's just not talk about that." Well, like we've been drinking, and I was like, "How dare you feel like I'm not gonna feel like this way tomorrow?" And I really didn't feel like that the next day, but had there been somebody that was like, well, go fuck yourself, that would have been a very different story.
I know. It's really that's what I mean is that like it's crazy because it's like dependent on that other person to like
Be more
be
self
calm, cool, and
regulated than you.
collective.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I've had the same day where I just am like, and honestly, now I'm better at it where I'm recognizing that like it's like, girl, like fucking give it a day, because like sometimes I'll like freak out and I'm like, I should be alone, like and then I'm like, no, 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 no. Okay, let's just
Just relax.
fucking before I go nuclear today, let's like give it like a day. And then the next day I'm like, thank God I
Yeah.
didn't fucking say anything out loud. And I feel like the commitment issues that a lot of like when I was younger, I felt like the commitment issues felt less avoidant and more like not really wanting the commitment of like being committed. Like they just wanted and they were kind of like waiting for like a better thing, and I felt
Mm,
like that was really hurtful because it was just like, I like you enough to like keep you in my life, keep you around, but like not enough to like commit because I don't actually want to commit, but I can't communicate that. Or I am communicating that and I'm just not listening. That happened too. But I think often like the signaling of like what they were saying versus what was happening or what was like actually real was different.
yeah. It felt really personal at the time until I got a
Oh,
little
yeah.
older, and then I think after my frontal lobe developed and I started being more emotionally regular, I could see things a little bit different. And I could see the dynamics play out in the other end where I was like, yeah, I do like this person. Do I feel like I'd get into a relationship with them right here and now? I'm like, no, for different sort of reasons. Whether that's like vulnerability or like like you started seeing it just like 2020, I started taking it like less personal as time went on, mostly because a lot of the things that I got into, they still reach out to me to this day. These men that self-sabotage
Yeah.
left and fucking right to last week were crashing out because they stopped posts that like I was living with my boyfriend, crashing out once. I've been hit up once a week. I'm probably in a drunk slumber like we were meant to be together. Like, sir, what do you mean? You like literally made out with people in front of me. You like did so many things, and you think I have no self respect? Like, you didn't think I would face this out at some point, but we were meant to be. See, now it's getting crazy, but not on my end.
I don't know, it's so weird because I feel like everyone who didn't wanna commit are, like, voyeurs into my life, as in, like, I see them more as fans because, like, not hot take, but, like, I could see you on my page, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could see you looking at my profile but not liking things, or you like everything that I fucking post, but it's like we haven't communicated in, like, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, which is crazy. So I don't know, it's just weird because it's like, damn, like you're still fucking committed to me, bitch, when you didn't want to commit because you're fucking on my shit. But I think it's just they support me. They know I'm a good person. I think that's what it is.
I always acted right. And it's true. Like, I think that I started recognizing like people with commitment issues or that just were avoidant at that point in their life because there were so many people back to back after like ending my long term relationship. hindsight 2020, I was probably giving the same energy back, and that's why I was attracting that. Coming out of a
Yeah.
5 year relationship where I didn't feel like my needs were met, how was I going to believe that someone, in the future we were going to work for something towards that? So I think I put myself in very similar situations again and again where I started really like recognizing just patterns of behavior, and I'm like, damn, here comes another one. And they act very similarly. Like, I would say, like, one of them really did knock me out of the park. I didn't see that one coming, but he was like seeing his ex girlfriend as he was like trying to hint that we would be in a committed relationship. And then when it all came crashing down, he was like, I spoke to my therapist about this. And like, I kind of just like saw that it was getting real, and I freaked out, and I like self sabotaged. And I think with that is like, there are ways that people can push you away where you can remain cool, calm, and collected. Like, hence my boyfriend being like, let's talk about this tomorrow type of thing. I didn't do anything I couldn't come back from. Like, and
Yeah.
for me, knowing where that line is of like, I understand that like this is self sabotaging, and maybe I know that it's not about me. Like, you didn't do this to me, you did it to yourself. But for me, like, cheating is a big no no. You know what I mean? Like, lies are a big no no. That's like my line.
Yeah. I feel like my mom always told me, like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Maybe it's the right person, wrong time. I don't know if I believe in that as much anymore because I feel like timing is so much of like what makes something work or not work.
I agree with you. I also feel like as I have gotten older, I haven't been able to connect to the people I once felt really strongly about after a certain
Yeah.
period of time. And it mainly depends on how much they've grown, because I feel like I have grown so much in the past couple of years. Like, I don't relate to a
Hmm.
younger version of myself anymore. And sometimes I see people that are still kind of there, or they have grown a little bit, but I just like don't have ties to that connection anymore. So I think it would be really tricky for me to go back to somebody that I had a connection with before, unless they did like a really dramatic growth experience and somehow my growth matched where they were at. It's just something I've never experienced.
Like if it doesn't work now, I don't feel like it's gonna work in the future. Like unless things like stuff really changes, right? And that's just like a weird expectation. So like I'd really try to like not after. I mean, like I would say like 6 years ago, like I had like a lot of people. I used to say like in my rear view, which was like I was just like kind of waiting for the right time. Or that's a toxic mindset to be in, right? When you have like five people that you're like, well, maybe if like it was the right time, these people and I will work out. Not gonna work, right? And I feel like the only time I was like really able to just like move on and like commit to someone new and be fully committed is when I was like, this is all this shit not gonna work. Just let it go. It didn't work. Maybe it will work in the future, but it's not worth thinking about or even keeping in your mind's eye.
That is very true. And I think time does tell. I think when I broke up with my ex boyfriend, had he gone through this like massive amount of change, like the care was there, and we were together from when we were young. So I felt like, wow, did this person like kind of works on themselves a little bit? Like, maybe this is something I could see. Obviously, that didn't happen. Like, that's okay. The person who is now my boyfriend, he like broke up with their partner around the same time I broke up with mine. And in like stayed single for 3 years. And in those 3 years, because we just moved in together, I saw his books, and they were all like self books and like committing on being single for a year and things like that, where it was like intentionally not dating. And I was like,
Mm.
wow, look at somebody that wants to grow on their own. And I feel like sometimes when they say like right person, wrong time, I'm like, or like the right person is already kind of like doing these fundamental things that you wanted to see in somebody on their own without you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like there's someone out here. And that's why like I sometimes struggle with people who aren't really happy in a relationship, and it's because but they're like, well, I'm never gonna find a guy who is like X, Y, and Z. I'm like, there's a billion people on the planet. You could go to a fucking
You
conference right
probably
now and
you
find
might
five
find
other guys like him.
a better one. I promise.
A better
Yeah.
version, like, and I mean that just in a way that like I feel like this is like something the world is feeding people like, oh, like stick in your relationship. It's tough out there. It's like, dude, it seems like it's tough in your relationship. So it's like choose your tough.
And I have seen people get back together. Like I truly have. I some people that are committed, they go on like little journeys and then they realize like maybe this is the person for me and just gotta work some shit out. But like relationships are hard. There's a lot of like resentment is so crazy because like it can happen so it really can. And I think that ongoing relationships and long-term relationships are really hard to maintain if you're not like constantly wanting to work on them. Like if you start neglecting the things that need to be talked about or worked on, I think that's kind of what like tarnishes things over time, and then it's harder to come back from. But it's not impossible. I don't believe that it is impossible. Some people make it. Some people
It
are
has to.
really,
It
yeah.
requires effort on both sides. That's the only thing. It's like I think it's just a continued effort on both sides. Like you cannot have one person not committed to the commitment of a relationship. I that's the thing that I feel my heart goes out to people when they're in a relationship with someone who has commitment issues. You know, like it's different to be in like a half or like being in a situationship with a someone who has commitment issues. Like at least you don't have the emotional investment that you do into like a real deal relationship. Like there's people who live with people who are have commitment issues. You know, there's people married to, to dudes who have commitment issues. They did make like the ultimate commitment, but they're not like committed.
Or they're just like constantly self sabotaging, doing things to push you away. And personally,
Yeah.
I'm not into it. Like, I would just rather be emotionally regulated. And I mean, I think that that's like choose your fighter, truly, like whatever you want your life to be. I think that sometimes when you withstand certain behaviors, it doesn't, I don't know. It just like shows people that you're gonna stay and that like it's okay. And sometimes like unfortunately losing something is the only way that they can you can try to value it, appreciate it. Maybe you want to change as a person because you saw the value in it. Judgment free zone because it's not my life. If you choose to stay in a situation with somebody who's like constantly self sabotaging and like maybe hurting your feelings by it, that's your journey. And I have friends like that.
Yeah.
That I am like, it sucks that you can't see it the way I see it, but like I'm not gonna judge you for staying in it. Like you're the only one living that reality every not me.
I mean, I don't judge people for staying in it, but I feel I mean, it's just like it's isn't it just it's kind of like your heart goes out to that person and you hope that I don't know, I just want to encourage people to choose themselves. I don't feel like that's always communicated. Like you have to choose yourself. Even if you've been married to someone for fucking 25 fucking years, you still have to like choose yourself and nothing's ever going to be easy. Like a conscious decoupling, as Gwyneth Paltrow calls it, is never going to be easy, right? And it's like, but there is like this other future on the other side.
Yeah. I think journaling is like a really strong tool for when you want to move past something because it solidifies things. Like I remember when I found it really difficult to like move on from someone, I had to write down like why I was moving on from someone, like all the things that they did that hurt my feelings, like my ultimate like this is my line and they have crossed it and I'm still somehow like willing to let this person into my life and like I think the bigger question was why, but at the moment, I think I just needed to like get it out. Mainly because reading those things back is a reminder. You know, sometimes we get caught up in the fact like this is comfort and this person. I think that what I hear most about like relationship and stuff is like when we're good, we're so good. Oh my god, that's like a really big red flag. Okay. That just means like it like the other end you're like down in the depths of the floor consistently.
Yeah.
That's how I know like that's a relationship is a roller coaster. And just to know that like you have to remember when it's down bad and if that's what you're like wanting for yourself, you know? And then looking back at a journal, maybe like 6 months later when you're no longer with that person and you're just like, damn, I can't believe they did me this dirty. And I stayed through that.
I think also like journaling can recognize patterns. Like, I mean, pattern recognition takes a lot of practice, but I think with my ex, I was like, I need to start writing some of this shit down. And I was just reading back. Like, I was like, oh shit. So this is like this shit's bad a lot. You know, because I think your brain hijacks how good things are, you know? Like, I think your brain would rather focus on the good things, and when you, like, love someone, you focus on the good things, and because things can change throughout a relationship, you might have more good times than bad times, but, like, it's been mostly bad recently, you know? And I feel like with my ex, I, like, like, that's what basically happened, where it's, like, didn't really towards the end, I was like, "Oh, this shit is bad, bad." But I didn't recognize it until I started, like, just fucking making little notes and, like, writing it down and journaling, like, "This happened today," and then it's like, at the end of the month, I was like, "Oh, so this shit's not good most of the time. It used to be good most of the time, but now it's not at all." And then after you heal from that, you can, like, see, like, "Oh, okay, like, I will never get in that type of relationship again because I know, like, I should have looked at X, Y, and Z."
The signs were there.
The signs were there. Definitely were there, but you just don't know them yet.
And I think that's why it's sometimes like good to have an outside perspective. Like we love a therapist, you know what I mean? Especially navigating relationships
Mhm.
because they're so intertwined with like our childhood trauma. And I think it's really easy to kind of like I guess when like I'm speaking to friends and I have done just a lot of like self-reflection about like how I grew up has affected me and the way that like I attach to people and all that stuff, right? So when my friend is telling me something, I'm like, where is this coming from? So I'm like, like if they told me something about how they grew up or why they are chasing that relationship. I know like one of my friends was like, well, I have a family where all of my immediate family has married like their high school sweetheart. So I would,
Yeah.
I want that and that's why like they're attaching to somebody that probably isn't right for them, but they just want the same sort of like we've been together for so long, we've grown together.
Mhm.
And the only thing I asked, I was like, okay, so like, do you like their lives? Like, would you switch places with them? And then she was like, no. And I'm like, then maybe this doesn't make sense for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, because you're looking at it, like, that's what you get.
Yeah.
It's all kind of like about perspective. And sometimes it's like really hard to get to those places. On your own, mostly when like nothing in your environment may be challenging you to push the envelope. So I think like if you're having a lot of trouble in relationships in general, whether they're making you anxious or you just like can't figure something out, or maybe you just like want guidance or learn something about yourself, I think like counseling is a great way to go and just be like honest. I think therapy won't work if you're not honest.
Mhm.
I know like a lot of people have like shame, but they don't share things that they think others won't find acceptable. But like the therapist isn't there to judge you, they're there to guide you through conversations. And the only way to really do that and get to know yourself is being honest with them and yourself. So there's that.
Go to therapy, be honest. And honestly, phone a friend. Like, it's good to have like a couple trusted people. And sometimes I think it's good to like preface a friend of what you need. Like, hey, like I just need like, can we like have like a an hour conversation where you like turn off your memory? Just preface the conversation, or like I need advice, or I'm not looking for advice. And that's why it's important to have like strong friends and community, and make sure that you're offering that level of advice to other people too, that you're not always like gabbing but never listening.
That is true. Well, whether you are kicking and screaming and fighting your avoidant partner, no, we love a good commitment issue. It makes for a good story, but for other stories, not for ourselves. And if you feel like somebody did you really dirty with commitment issues, I'd love to hear it. I'd love a juicy past story.
And as always, we have a thanks for your concern hotline where you can anonymously submit tea and such to the page if you don't want to be attached. So make sure that you're following us on all social media. We're at Thanks Number 4 Your Concern, and I'm at LL Tutor.
I'm at Bernice Ideas M.
And as always, like, subscribe, and tell a friend. It helps us out a lot. We will see you next week. Bye.